This is the video that Just Pearly Things didn't want to be shown. It's her confession about the time she Me Too'd a black trainer and got him fired. She deleted the video from her channel, but I have it in full, and I'm going to show the relevant parts and compare what she said then to statements she made in later interviews to show the inconsistencies that didn't make sense. Now, this is just my opinion, and allegedly this is what happened, but you make up your own mind as to what you think happened. Pearl said that after an incident with this man, she had to get him fired. But her reaction to what happened didn't make sense. She said that after she turned 18, her trainer propositioned her for sex, and that made her hate men for a long time. Something about her reaction didn't make sense because she said that she considered him a friend.
And it was like heartbreaking to me because this guy, like, I looked at him as a father figure. And genuinely, like, I felt like I'd lost, like, a friend, which really sucked.
This is also from a woman who said because boys never approached her, she would sleep with the guy on the first date if he tried.
But I swear to God, like, guys don't try to sleep with me.
Really?
like, I swear to God, I've been on a date and I would have been down, and he just never tried. I was like, oh, okay. And I swear to God, I didn't even touch me once.
Yeah.
He touched me once, and I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, I don't really have guys approach me often.
It could be the clothes.
So from her actions, it is my opinion that she developed feelings for her trainer that he didn't reciprocate. It is also just my opinion that she had sex with him the night in question, and she may have thought that that would lead to something more than what it was. And by her own words, this was the first time a man outside of high school paid attention to her. And yes, he was married.
God, I'm kind of nervous to tell this story because I really don't know how the manosphere is going to react. But I want to tell you a story that really made me dislike men for like a really, really long time. And really like made me feel like violated, so to speak. This story, everything that happened was like legal technically, but there's just a lot of stuff that was really like messed up in hindsight to me. Okay, I'm kind of nervous. Okay, I'm like naturally pretty uncoordinated, but I really like got to where I was athletically just because I worked really, really hard. So I'm getting nervous. Okay. Anyways, so when I was in high school, my mom hired a trainer, and that trainer, his name was Marcus, and he was in the NFL. I saw him maybe 2 or 3 times a week. So I got like, it was a one-on-one session. So I got like really close with him. And like all the time, and this was when I started maybe when I was 15, like going to see him a couple times a week. And he really helped me like get to the next level of my sport, whatever. But at the time when you're young, like it's kind of exciting when the adult talks to you about like stuff that's sort of inappropriate to be talking to minors about. Like a conversation that stood out was I remember like saying something about me being like insecure, you know, when I was a kid. Because when I was in high school, like I got zero attention from boys. Like boys never talked to me. So, and it's not even like the 80-20 thing, like guys just never approached me, never talked to me. I went to a small Catholic school. I said something to him about it, and he said, like, you'll get attention in college. And I forgot what he said, but he, like, I don't remember the exact words, but he heavily insinuated that, like, basically I had a big butt, so I would get attention in college. And, like, to me, this was just, like, a source of validation that I never really got, like, from, like, anywhere outside of high school.
So before we get started, remember, all my statements are alleged, and this is just my opinion about the situation.
And the first time I went back to see him when I was 18, he texted me because I was just going to go see him at the gym. He texted me to go see him at this like bar. But it was like during the day, so you could go eat there too. So I was like, okay, it's not that weird, like just going to get lunch with an old coach, whatever. I genuinely didn't think anything of it. So it was weird when I got there because he was definitely like drinking and he like sat at the bar. But I was so naive, guys. Like I didn't think anything. Um, and he kept trying to get me to drink because I was like kind of bragging that I had like a fake ID. Yeah, so he was like trying to get me to use it, and I wasn't the type to just like drink with adults. Like I would just drink at college. I didn't drink when I was home, so I kept telling him no, I don't want to do that, whatever. Or the lunch, he just said things that were kind of weird. Like he would say, like again, making comments about my butt, asking if I had sex at that point, like just stuff that was inappropriate and I thought was kind of weird. But like in my head, it was just because we were like close. Like this was the, father like figure. I don't know. It was really weird in hindsight. I don't know. I was dumb. Um, but anyway, so I said like, okay, I'm gonna go. Great to see you, whatever, left. He calls me on my way back and says, hey, like you should just come to the gym really quick. He owned the gym, like it was his own place. I don't know. He kept asking me if I wanted to have a shot with him. So I genuinely thought it would be cool to like take a shot with, my old trainer and just brag about it to my friends. So when I thought about it like that, I was like, you know what? F it. Like I'll go take a shot and then I'm going to get going.
Now, she declined to have a drink with him at the restaurant, but she did decide to beat him at his gym to take a shot so that she could brag to her friends about it. So if her purpose was to brag to her friends that she met with her coach and had drinks with him, wouldn't that be the perfect time to have the drink when they were at the restaurant? But the real inconsistency comes in when in one breath she says that after she left the restaurant he called her to meet him at the gym to take shots. But in another breath, she says that he texted her to meet him at the gym to have sex. This means that she already knew what he wanted before she met him at the gym.
He texted me. So he said, come back to the gym tonight. And I said, for what? And then he said like, nothing, just sex.
The gym, right? And he's like there sitting down and he's just like making conversation with me, whatever. And we take the shot, whatever. And we talk probably for like half hour, 45 minutes. And he says, like this gym, like we're alone. We could do whatever you want. And I'm like, oh, what do you mean, Marcus? Like what do you, and he's like, what do you think I mean? And so then I just said, you know what, Marcus? Like I think I do, but I'm gonna pretend like I don't. I'm gonna get out of here. He's like texting me after I leave, like trying to get me to come back and like have sex with him. And obviously, like I left. I was not about that. I have to say, by the way, he is, I don't know what his age was, but like I would say late 30s, early 40s. Daughter, that was my age, which, kind of weird. And he was married.
Pearl tries to paint a picture of herself being naive, and she just doesn't know anything about male behavior. She didn't know that married men cheated, and she didn't know that cheating was a thing. But now she's an expert and advocate for married men cheating.
So that's why a lot of stuff that he did that was weird, like in my head, people don't cheat, especially when they're married. And at that age, like I genuinely did not think that married men cheated. Like genuinely didn't know. I'd never heard of anyone cheating. Yeah, I didn't think it was a thing.
If a man cheats,
yes.
He's just like
it's
like a handshake.
Yeah.
Women act like this is the most unforgivable thing, that he is the ultimate bad guy, the ultimate demon if he does this.
Pearl also wants you to believe that she was so innocent. She had a fake ID so that she could go to the bars and drink even though she was underage. And that her best friend in college tell it, they would get drunk almost every weekend.
We would rollerblade to the bars and then put our rollerblades in a bush and get them when we were done and rollerblade back home completely drunk.
And then on top of that, I actually had to go get him fired from my school because he was going to start coaching my younger sisters. He was the track coach at my high school, and I was not about to let him coach my sisters. So I like literally printed the screenshots and I brought it to the school and was like, look, I know I was technically 18 at the time when he did this, but this like isn't right. Like he can't be grooming young girls to do that. Like that's messed up.
The issue I had was he was waiting till girls turned 18 to try to hook up with him. A couple years later, I find out he is going to be a coach at my high school on the track team, and my sister's going to run track. I was like, oh, hell no. But I didn't get him fired till years later because my mom told me not to.
So I don't know, that event like actually changed my life. Like,
Pearl says that he was grooming girls, but has provided no evidence of that. Now, I'm not saying the trainer was a good guy, especially if he was married and trying to cheat on his wife. But what I am saying is that Pearl had different reasons to get him fired, and I believe it's because he was cheating on his wife with her. She finds out a couple of years later that he will be a coach at her high school, but that's not when she got him fired. During those 2 years, her sisters started going to the high school, with the coach being there, so Pearl couldn't have been too concerned about her sister. And she says she didn't even get him fired until years later because her mom told her not to. So her mom wasn't too concerned about the sister either. Why then did this man need to be fired? Because a grown woman being propositioned for sex by a friend is not going to make her hate men for years. This is not a life-changing event, and I believe most women would agree. And over 2 years later, if they went their separate ways, it wouldn't have taken her another 2 years to get over it. 2 years later means that she's 20 years old and still thinking about this one incident. Unless, of course, she was having some sort of relationship with him during that time, which means he was probably lying to her, telling her he was going to get a divorce, making empty promises, because that's what married men do. And those actions by a man would make a woman hate all men for years after.
that's the story of how one guy made me think poorly of an entire gender for maybe like 2 years. It wasn't that long, but 2 years, longer than it should have.